So, welcome to Monday Morning Live.
Oh no, it's still Saturday. It's still Sunday night back home, but we're in Europe and it's Monday morning, 1 a.m.
Yes, and it tells you how much we care about you because we stayed up. Well, kind of, sort of stayed up, but I stayed up. She went to sleep for a while, but I went to sleep staying up. That's clear. Anyway, for those that don't know, she's Cheryl,
and he's Ken.
And it is our weekly live show. So to start with, do me a favor and let us know where you're from. And while you're doing that, we'll tell you where we are. We are sitting on the Star Legend in the harbor in Barcelona, Spain. We boarded the ship today. We're going to talk about that. And it was quite interesting. We've had a good week.
Just going to share who's here with us so far. So far, one staying with us is Pam. Hi, Pam. And yeah, we're in a different time zone. Feels like it too.
Yeah. And I don't know how my math was so wrong because I thought it was going to be 11 o'clock at night instead of 1 o'clock in the morning when we're doing these shows. And it'll be that way next week as well. So if you have questions tonight about the things we talk about, put your questions in the chat. Have any comments, put them in the chat. It makes YouTube happy and all the other providers happy if you chat at me. So we appreciate it. We're going to go through some of the things that have happened since we were last live with you guys. This trip started out where we left Miami at like 5 a.m. Actually, I guess the plane left at 6:30, but we had to be at the airport by 5. And then from there, we flew to Philadelphia, and we spent all day in Philadelphia until about 7 o'clock at night. And then we got on a plane, and we flew to Barcelona. Now, Cheryl, how was your flight?
Oh, it was pretty good. We upgraded me to business class, which is where the chairs lay all the way down. And it was very, very nice. We'll have some videos about that. I took some photos. It was nice. And I'm going to say this. I do know with my medical history, if you're over 6'4", you're going to have to bend your knees in those beds. And if you're under, even I still was more comfortable turning and bending my knees and laying on my side because and it depends where you are. Where I was right up next to the galley with my feet at the galley end. And the way it was a little hard to get into the thing once I had the bed down. It would have been easier to raise the bed up to get up and walk out of the little area where I was sitting. But the end of it gets about 2 inches wide, which is where your feet are. And 2 of my feet together are wider than 2 inches. So, but it was really, really nice. The service was wonderful and the food was great. And I did sleep for 3 hours, even though I was sitting next to a baby on the other side of my there's a little divider that you can pull up. And we put a divider up there. But the baby was almost all night long, but I had to get 3 hours of sleep. But mostly for my back, I got to lay flat. And that made a tremendous difference for me, especially since it was an all-night flight after having been up almost all day. And I did take my little 1-inch inflatable, lightweight little air mattress, and at the airport in the Admirals Club I found a corner where nobody was around, and I blew that up and I laid on that in the middle of the day for 2 hours, from 10 to 12, and that also helped a lot because I just can't sit up for 36 hours.
Yeah, and I didn't ride up front.
Yes,
I rode back in steerage. No, actually, I was in they call it Economy Plus, I think, but it's not Premium Economy. But I was on the bulkhead right behind Premium Economy, and I did all right, except I didn't sleep much. We had a crying baby in the vicinity, and I'd nap a little bit, but mostly what I did was watch. They have a little projector on the wall that shows you where the airplane is, and and where you're going, and you just get to watch yourself fly across a lot of nothing, though we did fly by Pam's house, and we almost nipped the corner of Newfoundland on the way over. They use what's called a Great Circle route, and so you go north to go wind up way east. But we did that.
I got to watch it on a movable TV screen that you just pop out by pushing a button and it sticks out right through. Nice.
Yeah, there was a difference in the way the difference in the way we ate, the difference in what they gave you when you sat down, and just all the way around. But anyway, it was as good a flight as it could be for that long. The one thing I will say is that when you get, at least for us at our age,
yep, the chairs were really nice.
Okay, Pam, sorry about that. Our internet connection's probably not going to be not real stable, because it's a big party outside, and so we couldn't find a place any better than our room. We're in our room.
Hers restarted. Okay, well, eventually you'll catch up with us. Sorry about that. But we'll see. If it gets really bad, then we might just have to give up and tell this all next week.
Yeah. Anyway, so we got off the flight, and it was kind of interesting. First of all, getting Cheryl off the flight, because we had gate checked her scooter at the airport in Philadelphia, and we were kind of expecting that it'd be ungate checked and show up at the gate. Now that didn't happen. Instead, what happened was they had like one of these catering trucks they use for the airplanes that scissor jacks up and down. They backed that up, and she went into there and sat down. Another guy came in and sat down. Then they dropped it down, and they drove us all the way around the building and unloaded us down at ground level.
They did put the scooter on there with me.
Oh yeah, we did. They did pick up the scooter and brought it with her.
But I was a little worried about getting off the plane without it. But the stewardess had come and talked to me about it. Yeah. Said that's the way they always do it there.
So that was was something we didn't expect, but it worked out okay. Clearing customs or immigration was a breeze. Basically, you just showed them your passport, they stamped it, and you went on by. So that went really well. Then, trying to be as thrifty as we could on this trip, we decided to take the bus into town, and that was the start of our experience with public transportation here. And I was real impressed. Everything we tried to do, we were able to do. But we took the bus into the plaza that was closest to our
hotel, the Plaza España.
Yeah, and so we had about 5-block walk from there. Well, I had a 5-block walk, pulling the luggage. Cheryl had a 5 blocks ride
on my wheel.
Yeah.
But I want to say that at the airport, when you get in, we just had to take an elevator down a level, and then they have machines where you can buy a ticket, and you buy a ticket for these airport transfers that take you through, down to downtown, different spots. And that was really affordable. It was easy. It was quick. And a lot of people, everybody that knew about it seemed to be doing that. There were a few Ubers there. There were a few taxis picking people up. But it's quite a distance. I think we were on that for 20, 30 minutes. So it must have been cheaper than an Uber would have been.
And Pam, it was right at 7 hours of flying time.
And then so then we walked to the hotel, and we were tired, nevertheless, not having slept very much. So we had a quiet day the first day, and we ate dinner in the hotel. And the hotel we stayed at was a Hilton property, one of their let's see, I've got the name here because I know I forget the full name. Messages here.
It was a Hotel Vicens.
Yeah, Vicens, and it was a Hotel Vicens, Barcelona Tapestry Collection from the Hilton. It's a boutique hotel. We had reserved a handicap room, which they said we could have, but they asked if I could walk some, that they had a new one of their larger, like a king size suite, whatever was available, but it's not fully accessible. It was ambulatory accessible. It was really a frameless walk-in shower, and it was very nice. It was being a boutique hotel. They're smaller. The rooms are smaller. The scooter really didn't fit in the room well. I mean, I was able to get in there. The first night I did manage to get it next to the bed. After that, we just kind of put it in a little piece off of the entranceway there. Kind of, it was blocked the door about halfway, but that worked for us for 2 nights. And they had wonderful breakfast, and the dinner was very good the night before.
Oh, yeah, we had dinner there. And then the day we got in, basically all we did was sleep all afternoon till we got up and ate, and then we went back to sleep because we were just completely tuckered out. But the next day we had gotten a hop on hop off bus pass, and that worked. I'm sorry, that worked really well for getting around and getting an overview of the city. The one thing I would say though is that Barcelona in January is not warm, and I was trying to shoot video. In fact, hopefully I have video of the whole tour on the one bus, but it took us a big loop and showed us all of the attractions on its route. There's two ho-ho routes in Barcelona. One's kind of the south and west, the other's kind of north and a little bit east.
In the summertime, there's another one, but that doesn't. It's the tourism is less here, so they only use the two routes right now.
Yeah. But that worked. Like I said, it was a convenient way to get around.
And he should have some really nice 360 camera pictures from up on top of the bus, as long as he can stand up there to turn into ice.
Yeah, it was cold, and I didn't bring gloves or anything to keep my hands from freezing. So if my fingers fall off the next time you see me, you'll know why. But no, it was really interesting. There's so much to see here. Now it's interesting. One of the things that you see a lot of here, and it's because I guess it was his home, but there was an architect whose name was Gaudi. And I thought incorrectly that the word Gaudi came from his name, but actually it was used way before his name. Maybe he was named after it. I'm not really sure. But the things he built in this town are very definitely Gaudi.
Well, I love the outside of the residences that he built. First he built residences, then he built other buildings, and the residences I thought were very pretty. Very, very, I don't know, like even the typical Spanish wrought iron, and I thought they were nice from the outside. We didn't being as tired as we were, we didn't actually do a lot of that indoor tours. We mostly looked at what was on the outside, except for one museum we'll get to in a little bit.
Yeah, well, and the reason for that was we wanted to see what was there, and our plan was to go back and do some more. But by the time we got done with that and got shown back to the hotel, she said it was nap time. I went back and rerode the bus. I was going to try to go up. There's a tram. And since Cheryl's not a real fan of trams, neither is Pam, by the way. So we thought, well, I'll just go over and do that. So I rode it. It's about an hour and a half loop. And I got over there, and the line to get on the tram must have been at least an hour or more long. And I was like, okay, it's not worth that.
So what we learned from some of these things is, one, like this was a very impromptu kind of trip for us, real short notice. Maybe a month or so ahead of time is all we knew that we were doing this. You really want to plan this trip, as far in advance as you can, and then make sure you make your reservations to go to get into a lot of these sites, because you can buy with the bus passes, you get a lot of tickets to get into many places for free, but those tours aren't available anymore. So you had to book them way before. So that's the thing to keep in mind. Buy your pass, I guess, and get reservations. The
other thing I would say is be careful how much you think you can do, because we anticipated doing a lot more than we were able just physically to do. I looked at my watch. I walked over 7 miles today. And it was been that way since we've been here. The architecture here is really, really interesting. The old part of Barcelona actually goes back to the Roman Empire. That was where it came from. That was a history of Barcelona. And there, along the waterway front, there is a part of a wall that was one of the original boundaries for Barcelona. Barcelona is now exploded way beyond that. The total metro area is about 3 million people. The next day we used, which was this morning, huh? Yes, that was this morning. I lose track. We got up and we went out and we drove by the. Well, I shouldn't say we drove by. We rode the bus out and got out and walked around the La Familia Sagrada. It is a church, and this picture doesn't do it justice. Click on share screen. Present. No.
Oh, sorry.
Present.
Yeah, I can get it. Which one is it? This one here, I think.
Yeah, no, here. If you go to.
It's this one.
No.
It is.
Okay.
It's a picture. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, you want to go somewhere else? I don't know where it is.
Well, if you do that, you have to do this.
Oh, I have to go like that?
Yeah, and that'll just share that.
Oh.
Okay. So this is La Sagrada Familia, and it is, I think it's classed as a basilica. and it's under construction. It's been under construction for over 100 years. And they're not the fastest builders.
Several hundred years, actually. It's been a long, long time.
Yeah.
It's very unique. We actually have a lot of video. We're going to, I took some videos on each side of it, focusing in on some of the statues and the carvings. And it's very, very interesting to say the least. Each side is different. It's amazing. And they have a webpage that details a lot about each of the carvings and the things that they have there.
Yes, they have a Christmas tree on one side of it. They have all kinds of fruits growing out of parts of it. I mean, it is a very unusual building, is all I can say. But like I said, it is the number one attraction in Barcelona, so we thought we would go by and do that.
The first level is accessible.
Yeah.
First level is accessible, but again, you have to get your tickets way ahead of time, or your reservations or your tour tickets. And then Ken was saying you can even go up if you're young and healthy. You can go up those towers, but they're really tall.
Yeah, yeah, and it's kind of interesting. They say they have great views, but you have to choose which tower. They're independent. You don't get a ticket; they get you all of the towers. You have to pay by the tower. Got a finance instruction on this thing somehow, because it is an amazing project for the size and scope of what they're doing. And there were a lot of other places. There's a lot of Gaudi's work architecturally around town that you can go see. There's scores of museums, from contemporary modern art to stuff that goes back to the great masters. There's just art and art and art. And there's museums. They had the Olympics here, so there's a museum for the Olympics. And one of the things that made Barcelona accessible is the fact that they had the Olympics. I think it was in '92, they said, but they redid a whole bunch of the city to get it ready for that. And in general, I don't think we ran into anything in the city itself that we wanted to do that we couldn't do, that wasn't accessible.
Yeah, it's been fine. And the cobbles, there are some like cobblestone type streets, but it's not. I think they're kind of worn to where it really wasn't that bad. In the wheel, I didn't feel bump, 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 bump. And where it was, where there were like some gouges or whatever, the wheel took them just fine. But I think maybe on a regular wheelchair, I don't know if it would be smoother or harder. But
well, let's just say the suitcases and the guy operating the suitcases felt every one of those little bumps. But it was, there is so much to do here. I know some of you are thinking about coming, maybe in association with a cruise. And I would say this, that we could have spent a week here and not seen all of the things that would have been nice to see.
Yeah.
It's like we tried to get to an aquarium this afternoon and we didn't make that. I wanted to do the tram and didn't make that.
So that's one thing I think about is nice is so many cruise ships do come to Barcelona different times. Like a lot of times, even just for transatlantics, they'll come to Barcelona and leave from there. And so even if you've been here 2 or 3 times, I'm sure you can find something interesting to do the next time you come.
And like I said, I found a company online that sold the Ho bus, and you could buy it by different numbers of days. And then they had entrances to all of these things that, they add up pretty quickly. Anywhere from, it starts at probably like $15 or maybe even less, a little bit less than that to get into some things. But some of the things to go into were like $49 or $50. So this worked out really well. But that would be my thing. But what you want to do is find who you're going to get tickets from, and then you want to sit down and figure out, okay, what's important to me, and make those reservations first, because they had tours that took you out of town to wineries, and there was I forget the name of it now, but there was a place up on a cliff that they could take you to. There's so many things to do. Like I said, you could spend probably a full week here enjoying what's here and not run out of things to do. So the next place we went, we got a picture of it too. Let me, I gotta share this. And I want to go to
the Poble Espanyol. This is a cultural art museum, shopping area, all combined into one. It's a really large area. It's open air, but it's like buildings, like little mini little streets, almost like a little mini community of things. And they also do shows there. And so we just popped in there today for a while this afternoon. And again, we took just the regular public city bus. It was easy to do. It's fully accessible. They let the ramp down, and I rode up the ramp. That's how we've gotten around town pretty much the whole time we've been here. Is all the tour buses and the city buses have the ramps, and so did the bus from the airport transfer bus.
Yeah, and the drivers are really good about.
They don't have any problem letting it out and helping you. So.
Yeah, let me share. I got a picture. In fact, I have a picture of this scene myself, but screen. So there's a little bit about it. It's basically supposedly the history of Barcelona as far back as they can pull up records, and it actually extends out a little bit overall of Spain. We always saw a thing about the fiestas today, and it went all over. And all I can say is the Spanish like to party.
I got really nice photos of English, like they have on the wall before you go into the fiesta video. They have a description of how the fiestas were founded, if they're still doing them, and why, and then you go in and watch a video about it, a little 7-minute video, and that was fine. That was nice because I really don't know that much about Spanish culture, and I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah. So today was not a good day to be there because we were right before closing, which I'm sure didn't help.
And it's a holiday.
And it's cold.
Today.
And it's cold. Yeah.
It was windy today.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, I think a lot of the merchants had closed because there wasn't a lot of traffic there today, but they did have some beautiful artwork. They had some beautiful fans. Those Spanish fans.
Yeah.
And the folding fans. And I would have liked to have had more time to shop.
Yeah. And we were, like I said, we were kind of running out of daylight and running out of energy. And we were going to try for the aquarium. So we left from there. But again, this same area, it's interesting. This area where it is actually was a Jewish cemetery.
Seminary.
No, cemetery.
Cemetery? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's called Montjuïc, and so pretty obvious where the description came from. Hi, Rhonda. Anyway, so we did that. That was really, like I said, we've had a really nice time. The architecture in this city is just amazing. Like I said, it goes back to medieval to modern, contemporary. So many of the buildings are so old, and so it made it good to enjoy looking around. After that, we had to go back to the airport. Back to the hotel and get checked out. Actually, I should say that was between the morning visit to La Familia Sagrada Sagrada Familia, and then in the afternoon we went to the Poble. But we got to the hotel and we saw people carrying luggage on a bus, but some of the buses were so crowded that it didn't seem practical to try to carry 2 big suitcases. So we asked them to call for an accessible taxi, and guess what happened? An accessible taxi showed up, and we had seen accessible taxis all over town, which was, like I said, you try to get an accessible taxi in LA or Miami, you might as well walk. But just right away we got one. We went down and went to the ship, and I will say this: that we're on the Windstar Cruise Line's Star Legend, and the check-in was as quick and as easy and as painless as anything I've ever seen.
Yes. It's more like getting on your friend's boat.
Yeah.
You have to have a passport to do it.
Yeah, it was, we got there, we were about almost an hour early. We got there and they let us go through screening and sit down inside, and they had, some orange water or lime water or something. And they had, some
medical
pastry.
staff. They had to fill out your form about if you're getting sick or not, and the medical staff would evaluate that before you would be allowed on. But they had an accessible restroom there with plenty of room. A very nice accessible restroom in the lobby there.
But that's where things started to go downhill, because pretty early in the process, they asked Cheryl if she could get out of her wheelchair and walk a few steps. And she said yes. And, and
which is true.
Yeah, it's true. She did. But their idea of a few steps was a full flight of, like air stair steps, just straight up.
They're nice, beautiful cedar wood steps.
They are pretty steps.
With a railing.
Yeah.
Railings on each side, I believe. Yeah. And I was able to, and they're like a cedar railing. And I was able to just hold on to each side of the railing and come up. Then when you get up to the top, I needed help to step down the ramp into the boat. And they also, but they helped me. Yacht.
Yeah.
Ship yacht. And then, and they also helped me at the bottom. And if I needed help all the way up, they would have helped me all the way up. But I said, I'm fine. I just went up the railings.
And they carried her scooter up,
which was very hard for them, I'm sure. We hadn't realized it was going to be that many steps. Yeah, I had been told before that you might need to take a few steps here and there, and I'm like, fine. But we could have brought a lighter scooter if we'd have known that it was a whole flight of steps, because I don't want them to have to do this every day or twice a day if we go. That's probably what we'll do is, if it's sunny outside, we'll let them watch the scooter outside while we come in for lunch, and then go. And then I brought walking poles. I prefer a walker, really, but this is a smaller ship, and I can do the walking poles. But I have realized I cannot do walking poles on a big ship.
Yeah.
I'm not that healthy anymore. But we have to accept our limits. So, but on a big ship, I can get my scooter on easily. So that's not a big deal. And I probably need to use walking poles to get some exercise. So it's okay.
And it was interesting because, again, we had asked for an accessible cabin, and they told us we had an accessible cabin. And for those of you that have sailed on Carnival and know, Carnival has a category called ambulatory accessible, which means you got to be able to walk a little bit. And so, like, there's a little bit of a step up into the bathroom. And then the bathroom's got pretty fair rails. It's got a nice shower, no seat in the shower, but I mean, it's got a handheld and a overhead.
It's flat floor in the bathroom.
Yeah, but again, this room is not designed really to be a wheelchair room. We had to have them move the bed a little bit so we could get around the corner easier.
Definitely, this is not a boat for big scooter. I wouldn't want to have to watch them carry a big scooter up the steps. But if you have a folding scooter or a scooter that comes apart, that would be a lot better.
Yeah.
Much better choice for this ship.
Yeah, anything bigger than the wheel, I don't think would have worked on the ship.
No, I don't think we wouldn't. Because, well, they actually, if I wasn't happy getting this one in my room, which the room is plenty big enough for it, once to get it in here and store it, they said they would find a place to put it. But that's not really why you want a scooter. So.
Yeah, just one of those things you got to recognize, that they weren't as clear as they could have been. And I'll have a conversation with them
about.
We
did see 2 other wheelchairs on the ship already. Yeah. Maybe there's more. One was a very, very lightweight. I don't know where it's from. Maybe from Europe. I never saw one like it, but I bet that wheelchair doesn't weigh 10 pounds or 15 pounds. But it was a small person in it, but still. And then I saw another regular push wheelchair that we have, like everywhere you see at the hospitals, airports. And the folding wheelchair is not a big deal to get up a flight of steps either.
Yeah, getting it up, but again, you've got to be able to maneuver. If Cheryl hadn't been able to get out of the wheelchair, I don't know if they'd had a way to get up, maybe a cargo net or something. Winch.
I weigh more than I used to. Years ago, they carried me up one time. But in the wheelchair.
Yeah. But so the ship is really nice. There's some few places that it could use some minor repairs, but I mean, it's nothing major, just little things I noticed like trim and stuff. Our room's nice. Dinner was really good for dinner. They had tornadoes.
Yeah, I had beef tornadoes. And Ken had lobster on the first night. So, hey, it doesn't get any better than that, does it?
Well, and I would say this, the lobster was probably the best lobster I've ever eaten. I don't know how they cooked it, but it was wonderful. And one of the things that Windstar Cruise Lines is known for is food. All of their chefs are associated with the James Beard Foundation, and several of them have had restaurants that earned Michelin stars. So they have some high-end chefs on board. I'm looking forward to the food this week.
We had salmon on the buffet today. It was very
Yeah,
good.
the salmon on the buffet was
The
good.
buffet's small. It's a small ship, so you have a small buffet, but it was all very good.
What did they have for dessert?
Oh, and I was so good I did not eat it. Creme brulee, and it's my favorite dessert. And I thought, no, I'm not starting off because I know. And then I did have dessert at dinner though, but I was good. I had the chocolate raspberry mousse, so it was a lighter dessert.
And I had pecan pie, and the people that cooked it have never eaten a really southern pecan pie, but it had the right flavor and it had some caramel underneath it. It was pretty good stuff.
I told him, Ken, it's probably European and it's healthier than the American version.
Yeah, it wasn't oozing, Caro
It looked
syrup.
really good though.
It tasted good, but it was just a little
My
different.
mousse was very good. It had like a butter cream sauce thing that I poured over it, and it was really good.
But
Vanilla sauce, I guess.
anyway, so if you got any questions, put them in the chat. We've been, like I said, our first taste of Europe, because this is the first time we've been over here. We were super impressed with accessibility. Like I said, the fact that all the buses worked good. The only place that's been as good as this for accessibility in general has been like when we went to Vancouver.
Oh yeah, Vancouver.
Vancouver was super accessible.
accessible.
Yeah. Now, I will say that
hills were something, but with the scooter, it's just fine.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting because they do have a metro. It would have made some of our stuff that we did warmer and faster.
Oh yes.
Cheryl didn't like the elevator.
Well, I'm so proud of myself. This ship has a very small elevator, probably the smallest I've ever been in, and the hotel had a very small elevator, one of the smallest I've ever been in, and I got in those and I did just fine. See, they're smart; they put mirrors in them, so you think it's bigger. And then, but when we got to the one to get into the subway in Barcelona, it's a beautiful, nice glass building. And then the elevator button says something when the elevator's coming, lets you know it's working. But then I'm looking down and it's like this concrete hole, and I just couldn't get myself to go down in there. So we had to take a bus instead of the subway, which would have been like a lot faster everywhere we went. Yeah. So if you're not afraid of tiny elevators and holes in the ground, then you'll be just fine here.
Yeah,
you get around really fast instead of taking your time like I did.
But like I said, it's been super accessible. We didn't really eat any Spanish cuisine. The restaurant we stayed at didn't have any. The restaurant in the hotel didn't really offer any.
It was catering to Americans in English.
Yeah,
pretty mostly Americans, and you could tell it was hamburgers and pizza, and it was all excellent.
Yeah, the hamburger was really good, and we saw a pizza looked really good too.
And then they had a hot breakfast. It was nice. It was nice.
Yeah.
A lot of choices. Oh, and we have loved the fruit on the buffets in Barcelona.
Yeah,
the oranges and everything.
I'm assuming
so much flavor.
Yeah, and when we were in that Poble Espanyol, they had these tangerine trees.
Yes,
they were full of bright orange tangerines, and we're like, wonder if they mind me picking about a bushel.
But they should show up on our camera video of that if it took, and that you'll just see they're absolutely beautiful trees and beautiful fruit.
So, if you travel with limitations and you are looking for a place to go, I would say Barcelona is worth the trip. Like I said, there's just so much to see and do. We could have spent a week here and not run out of things to do, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, thanks for joining us in the middle of Monday morning. We hope you guys have a nice evening. We will see everybody next Sunday. We will be, if my memory holds, we'll be in Civitavecchia, which is the port for Rome, and we'll have reports on Nice, Marseille, Livorno, and probably some on Rome. We have somebody I interviewed is taking us on a tour out of Livorno. I'm not sure exactly where she's taking us. She had a long tour and a short tour, and with Cheryl's back, we opted for the short tour, and I didn't look to see even what it was.
Rhonda's like me, major claustrophobic. I totally understand, and I think Pam might be a little bit too. With me, it's heights. I don't like heights, and I don't like closed spaces, and I'm like in elevators both.
Well, and I'll tell you how bad it was, is that the elevator at the hotel was small enough that we couldn't get our two big-sized suitcases and Cheryl and the Will and me in there jammed any which way. So the suitcases had to go up by themselves, and I went down and got Cheryl. Today, Cheryl went down, and then I took the suitcases down because it was a little tiny. And that's one thing you got to expect here in many cases, kind of like in Hawaii. Rooms will be small because space is expensive, and it's just a little bit different.
Yeah, and it's a lot like Mexico has really small elevators. I don't like those either.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get used to them on this trip, or maybe I need to just start carrying like some kind of folding mirror, just set it up in the elevator.
Well, that's like this room looks like it's really big. It's because there's a mirror right behind us.
Yeah.
It's not that big. Anyway, we'll let everybody go. We hope you enjoyed the show. As always, if you're not subscribed to the channel or not following us on whatever platform you watched on, please do that. Helps us in our endeavors. So thank you much. We'll see everybody next Sunday.
Goodbye.